Razageth, considering that we're going to be fighting Razageth for the coming months, right? She's the new boss, she's the big bad, and she is the youngest of the Primal Incarnates. Belialar made a video about her. She's the key to WoW's future. Razageth explained, WoW finally has a great new villain. That's fun to hear because we all know Shadowlands was not a great villain. In fact, Shadowlands was pure fucking trash in terms of villainy and the story writing and everything else. So let's see what happens with Razageth. You think we won't kill her in lore, Sinful? I don't know. Maybe we'll just imprison her or figure out what she's about. Who knows? Maybe we make peace with the Incarnates, with the Primal Incarnates in the end, because I really don't think they're wrong. But let's see what Belialar has to say about this. Let's watch this video real quick. Let me pause the music, and let's see what Belialar has to say.
Razageth has burst onto the scene and feels like a pretty big threat. She respects strength,
remember,
demands
the
fear,
Titans are not
and
goody
is
goodies. Very true.
Absolutely done with the Titans being on Azeroth. She thinks that order is a stain, the Titan Forged are abominations, and from everything else that we're hearing about the Titans recently, you would be forgiven for thinking she was right. After all, they imprisoned her for 20,000 years for basically just saying no to being infused with their magic.
Oh, we're going to be doing rares
Razageth
right after this, Joshua.
Is actually a bit evil, and no matter how reasonable some of her arguments and her justifications are, we've seen into the Primalist future, we've seen the destruction it will bring to the world, and we've seen the length that Razageth will go to get there. So who is Razageth?
Now, I mean, don't forget, Razageth, like I said, is the youngest of the Primal Incarnates, and she went toe-to-toe with Alexstrasza. So what does that say about the other ones? They are extremely powerful. They are extremely powerful. And someone related her to Thanos. Yeah, Razageth and Thanos, I would say there is a lot similar to them. In that Razageth and Thanos both have, you can see their side of the story, and yet their tactics to get there are a bit questionable. That's why you have a hard time relating to them. Azeroth is her home, that's right. But she isn't evil. I think she is justified. Remember, the aspects in the Titans, they are Titan slaves. Yes, exactly. And the thing is, the way she talks, the way Razageth talks, it sounds like Alexstrasza and the other aspects kind of banished them. They imprisoned them for not accepting the gift. So they really didn't have freedom of choice there. So a lot of it makes sense. What a great villain storyline, man.
Razageth then, the big initial villain. Why is she so dangerous? And if she's the youngest of these Primal Incarnates, just what have
That's the one we were just talking about.
Next? Well, my segue to our sponsor, our patrons with the new December loot, which if you are on our Patreon through the end of December on the tier, then you'll get this awesome pin, as well as, of course, everything else.
Honestly, not just saying this,
going on there.
Belialar's
class card, got
Patreon
the awesome
stuff
art,
is usually
of course,
pretty cool.
Videos as we make them, so early, and a whole bunch else. Lore Walking podcast, and we are making
Scourge merch is coming.
Big old plans. But more.
I promised you guys. I said when I become a verified Twitch streamer, when I make partner, Scourge loot is coming, and we're getting close. Believe it or not, we're getting close to partner.
That as time
very
goes
soon,
on, especially in the
I think
new
it's
year.
happening this year.
Patrons, thank you. You are honestly
by this
the
year, I mean next year.
Of what we do.
We only got
as
like
we try to make more ambitious
2 weeks
series,
left of
like
streaming
the
this year.
Dragon series, which we definitely want to do more of in the future. It's you guys who are keeping it real, making it possible. So, name of the credits, awesome loot, more great shit like that. Hit up the link down below. Razageth is a monster twisted by the pain she has suffered. She is blinded by revenge, but it did not start that way. Thousands of years ago, the Titans arrived to find the old god-infested world.
Yeah.
The Black Empire was alive and strong, but they were able to find victory. The Titans then ordered Azeroth, and proto-drakes took advantage, becoming apex predators.
That's right.
The golden age of the proto-drake came to an end, though, when Tyr decided that the path of the Titans needed new servants, and uplifted 5 of them into being the aspects after they aided him in defeating Galakrond.
Yep.
Now, Razageth was like any other proto-drake, if a little more powerful. And Razageth was so close to Alexstrasza herself that they were like clutchmates.
Clutchmates, exactly. I was going to say, if you remember in Alexstrasza saying that, they're basically siblings. So that's why, Alexstrasza was like, we can't just kill her.
But that's where the division set in. After the fall of Galakrond, many dragons choose to join one of the 5 uplifted flights. But many drakes, with their basic intelligence, thought that it was basically slavery, but with another name. I mean,
I think they
who
were
are
right.
these big stone people from the sky to come down here, own our planet, and tell us what to do? No longer could Alex...
Yeah, I mean, put yourself in their position. Imagine these fucking giant statue people suddenly come down and start telling people, you know, drink our piss. And when you see people do it, they become like an ultimate version of the humans, right? And then everyone who refuses to drink their piss essentially is thrown into prison. Are the proto-drakes, are the incarnates wrong now? It does sound like, you know, a very sympathetic story to them, right? Like, it sounds like they're not wrong. They're not wrong here. Yeah, R. Kelly, exactly. Yeah. So I definitely think, as far as villainy goes, they're not really villains. They're just angry at the fact that they were imprisoned, that they weren't really given a choice, and the dragon aspects come off as all holy and mighty, and it turns out they're not really holy and mighty. They just drank the piss and rejected everyone who did it.
Alexstrasza and the Aspects hunt free and claim the planet as their own. Now, they served their big masters from outer space who
That's
wanted
right.
to control it for themselves. But Alex and co. thought it was a good idea. Dragons looked down then on their proto-drake kin. Even the term proto-drake being said by a dragon, that feels derogatory. And the more the Primalists protested, the more the new Aspects flexed their massive new titanic power. Until the Drakes found a power of their own, something older, more primal, more connected to the world herself. The Drakes created the Primalist movement, and the most powerful of them became Incarnates of the raw elemental energy of the
So that's
world.
why they kind of look
Remember
different.
that
I didn't realize
before
that.
the Black Empire arrived, it was Azeroth and the elements. The elements actually fought against the old gods. But
Yeah,
then,
we
of
saw
course,
this
were
in the
defeated.
quest line that we did, the Chromie quest line. We saw the fight between the elementals and the old gods. It was pretty crazy. It was a badass quest line.
And subjugated. So this is really
What
going
is up,
back
real?
to the deepest history of the world. Each one of these incarnates became a dark manifestation of the elements, and Razageth's raging personality gave her the name Storm Eater. With all this, the board was set. The Aspects and their Titanic allies on one side, the Primal
nice.
Incarnates
That's
and
right.
their
Ready for raiding
Primalists
this week.
on the other. War was inevitable. That is actually why Neltharion created the Drakthir, as foot soldiers in this war. The Primalists were such a threat that he decided to build a private army. One that embodied the power of all of the flights, but they were still not
The
enough.
Infinity Gauntlet.
Razageth attacked the Forbidden Reach and tore through the ranks of the Drakthir, and in her ultimate clash with Neltharion, destroyed the Titan artifact that
am I
he was
old?
using to control the Drakthir. Neltharion at this point was on the brink of defeat, and willingly or foolishly summoned the power of the Void, and
Oh,
used
yeah.
it to defeat Razageth.
Yep.
And this is likely why Razageth was trapped in the Forbidden Reach, which is Neltharion's island laboratory, and not in the vault with the other incarnates, which
Oh, I didn't think about that. So that makes sense. So the Vault of the Incarnates is essentially the prison for all of the incarnate drakes. But Razageth was imprisoned in a different way because of that fight where the Void was... Oh my god, that makes sense. I didn't know that. Wow.
of course
Fucking
is
mind
going to be
blown.
the setting for our first raid, as Razageth will want to break them out of jail. Now the question is,
Oh,
if she was such a
shit.
big threat then, why did
So
the
that's not probably an egg that I was talking about in the previous image where Blizzard released those images? You guys know what I'm talking about? Blizzard released those images. That's probably a prison. Oh shit, that's what this is. So these images released by Blizzard, that's an imprisoned proto-drake in the background there. Shit. It's making sense. The cents are being made. We're about to have some dollars in this bitch. A lot of sense being
Vex
made here.
just
Okay.
not kill her? Well, if we're to believe Alexstrasza, it's
Not
because
surprised you don't
even
know.
then, they were like family.
At least I try to learn.
And they
Right,
couldn't
right,
just
I try.
kill them. It would just feel wrong. So they ended up doing something arguably worse. locked them up for, what, 20,000 years? But of course, it's only 20...
Was Illidan locked up longer? What does Illidan say in the cinematic? Or does he say 10,000 years? He says 10,000, doesn't he? I think so. 10,000, yeah. So they've been locked up longer than Illidan.
20,000 years because at least Razagath's broken
10,000
out.
years.
It was probably supposed to be
You are not
life
prepared.
imprisonment for basically an immortal creature. Which, I mean, that's some level of hell shit.
Yeah, it's fucked
Razagath
up.
rightly calls it the suffering that Alexstrasza and co. inflicted on her. The pain of being forgotten. Right? Just, that's it. You've been defeated.
Damn,
You're
that's
locked
some
away.
deep pain
We're
right
going
there.
to tell nobody about you. Nobody will know you even existed.
Shit. Imagine that. Imagine your sibling did that to you. Now, some people don't have a good relationship with their sibling, but imagine a sibling you love. Drank the piss. Became all holy and mighty. Chad version of themselves. And then you refused it because you didn't think it was right, and then they locked you up. Threw you in jail. And told nobody of your existence ever again. Rightfully so, they are angry.
Deletion. So, Razagath then believes that the Titans really just enslaved Azeroth.
I don't know my
and
Diablo lore,
in
but that's
turn,
interesting.
She was locked up for 20,000 years. That is her two big motivations for revenge. Another way to understand Razagath is by diving into the modern Primalist movement that we see in-game, and the types of people who really have been brought on board. 20,000 years pass, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
then, at some point in the last 5 years, a modern Primalist movement forms. It draws people with the same motivations. Elementalists bent on revenge.
Shamanistic people.
Primalists gathered their strength and, led by Kurog Grimtotem, struck at the Forbidden
We fight him in
Reach,
Raid 2.
freeing Razagath. Now, Kurog had remained loyal to Magatha Grimtotem. Of course, the Grimtotems are that faction of Tauren that did not join the Horde. So it's, it certainly is up to no good. But then he found a greater calling in the Primalists. Before arriving on the Dragon Isles, Kurog crashed the wedding of Lorthamar and Thalyssra. Uninvited, he took the opportunity to insult the bride and groom for inviting dragons. He had 2 points. First, he called Rathian and the Black Dragons the most unnatural of dragons, because they were proto-drakes touched by Order and Void. Then, when he was told he wasn't invited, he said he was a shaman, and that the world was his. For
this wedding, I wish there was like more about it in game. Like we saw a little bit about it in the book and the Rathian little cuts, the storyline stuff. But I wish there was like an actual cutscene of it, because that was a very big event in WoW, and we didn't really get to see it.
This is a pretty complete insight into her mind. Order, Void, anything else that's came to Azeroth, to her, it's unnatural, it's bullshit.
No, she's not wrong.
Those who command the elements of the planet own the planet. It also shows us the type of people that gravitate to Razagath and her Primalists. It's typically people who want to take power back into their own hands, but of course, who will do it in the most extreme ways, such as Coraleth. She walked the Dragon Isles like the hand of Razagath herself, and her most interesting feature is the burn marks on her face. Now, we have no confirmation of this, but it certainly feels, given that she's a night elf with a big burn mark, that she wanted to get to the dream. And the only reason,
as I was saying,
really
angry night elf
for that job was that she would have this drive to strike back at the goddess who abandoned her people.
This is your router near Mike. We don't even need to own a microwave.
Night elves feel about Elune. We've only had a couple of interactions with Razagath whilst adventuring, right? And each has been very much just plain in-your-face action. She attacked the ruby life pools, attempting to infuse primal power into the dragon eggs, of course prompting Alexstrasza to fight. She could barely hold her off.
Maybe it's the kids in
even when pushed back, Razagath was happy to let Alexstrasza live so that she could see everything that she built destroyed. This is when the sympathy for Razagath goes out the window, because clearly cruelty has overwhelmed every other emotion. She doesn't want to just defeat Alexstrasza. She wants to dismantle her lie, expose it to the whole world, destroy her kingdom, cast out the people that she works for and their forces, force her to watch all of this, and then kill her. Razageth is aware of far more than we may think as well. She despises anything of titanic creation.
This fight said a lot about the power. Like I said earlier, the primal incarnates are, I wasn't sure how strong they were. But Razageth is supposed to be the youngest of them, so you would assume the weakest. And yet she took on who we know is the most powerful of the dragon aspects, Alexstrasza. And she kind of owned her. So these guys are strong.
So it was telling that.
But not strong enough to fight off Pug Raid Central. We're going to kill her and we're going to fucking loot her.
Then, when she was facing
That's
down
right.
Kelagos and
Proto-Lich
Khadgar
King.
at Vakthros, she called them both abominations. Drakes twisted into dragons with titanic magic, and humans as titanic creations filtered back, of course, to the Raikul. Even the fact that Khadgar used arcane magic, she called that unnatural. Again, think about where arcane would be on the Titan cosmology chart.
She called arcane
and this
unnatural,
could point
damn.
to one of Razageth's larger mysteries. What was she doing in the Azure Span? The aspects are unaware, only that she intended to
Razageth.
destroy the ley line running underneath it. Now, if she believes that arcane is unnatural to Azeroth, I mean, we literally have a place called the Halls of Infusion that's all about infusing order magic. Well,
Well, I guess they're right then. Arcane it does come from the Titans and all those ley lines and everything. That's all unnatural stuff.
if she thinks that arcane leyline stuff is unnatural, that means that this
I
whole
didn't pre-watch
planet
this,
has a
I just,
nexus of
I know.
unnatural energy running all over it, but just under the surface. A network of, from her perspective, awful Titan corruption that is just constricting the world.
That's right.
So, what could all this be? What could this net of arcane ley lines be? A prison? A way to pump the world soul full of order juice? Whatever it is, she clearly wants to get rid of that arcane influence. And from these personal interactions, we can see that Razageth is very, very powerful, but she's also driven and has a fairly dark intelligence.
True,
She's
sugar
able
dust.
to organize and command armies. She is aware of events that unfolded in a pretty deep way, and that includes Galakrond, which could be big.
Ooh. Are we going to see him? Are
The
we
story
going
of
to see
Galakrond
him?
has always been a little bit muddy, but right now, well, there's a lot to unpack. Was he the father of dragons? No. It seems that was kind of like just a lie. That was just the way that the aspects kind of told it. Was he something natural? So far, we think no. In Dawn of the Aspects, years ago, it was hinted that Galakrond was some kind of Titan experiment gone wrong. And if you take a look at the notes,
damn.
the letters from Tyr to Odin,
Oh, damn.
it seems like the Halls of Infusion are trying to remove whatever void corruption ended up nudging Galakrond to go the way that Galakrond did.
I didn't know this.
Now, on the Isles, we're discovering that the Titans and the Old Gods
So the Titans fucked up with Galakrond and then had to create the dragon aspects to beat Galakrond. So they done fucked up and then they fucked up again. So according to the Primal Incarnates, the need for the dragon aspects was created by the Titans. So the Titans created the aspects because they needed them because they fucked up their other shit that they were creating. Interesting.
had a bit of a hand in Galakrond's creation.
Interesting.
The mutated Drake's biggest feature was his insatiable hunger. He just consumed everything. Now, of course, we know that the Primalists actually worship Galakrond in some way. But in what way, we actually don't know. But if you put this all together, we do get something that is a little bit more spooky. When talking about the Primalist threat, Nosdormu mentions the hunger of Iridikron. Iridikron is one of the Incarnates, but
We talked about Iridikron today. Hey, this guy's going to play a major role coming down the line.
Razageth twists wind into being the Storm Eater, he twists earth into being the Stone Scaled. In fact, even the mention of Iridikron's hunger is too much for Alexstrasza to speak about.
Look at that.
Her reaction is one that is full of trauma, which of course makes us wonder what the hell went on. Like the Primalists, are they worshipping Galakrond to the point of, in this case, one of the Primal Incarnates, like almost manifesting Galakrond's endless hunger? I don't know, but I mean, that does kind of mean there's almost potential for a little mini Galakrond to be stuck in the Isles. But here's the kicker. The other two Incarnates do not even have a name that we, like, know of or see in-game. Now, I say this because we need to understand Razageth as one thing above all else. A herald. The youngest and we think the weakest, but the Incarnates are key to freedom nonetheless. If we're to see her as anything, we should see her as a taste of what is to come. And ultimately, that is a story of kind of rejecting all of the bullshit that's descending upon the world of Azeroth. It is basically just pushing back. This kind of Azeroth is, this is our planet. Please piss off and stop using us in your stupid cosmic game.
Yeah.
Which then, of
nothing
course,
wrong with that.
Straight down to the core of things. I mean, if you look at the Scarlet Crusade, right? Great villains in the game. Well, the Scarlets
very good.
Had a pretty reasonable enemy, but
give us Scarlet Monastery Mythic Plus. Fucking do it already. I want to go back to the Scarlet Monastery. I want Blades of Light all over my ass. Please. Damn it, it's such a good freaking dungeon.
Problem was, they went so extreme and hardcore that, yeah, they were our enemies, even if we thought maybe, okay, you've got a few good points about the Scourge. And I think that similar thing is happening here. Razageth and her people are like the Scarlet Crusade to a reject the cosmology bullshit, reject all of the, forces trying to influence us. What's natural here? What's natural in our world? Well, it's that our world has a soul and the elements are here. Other shit, not natural.
Rejecting everything else.
And I think that's just what we're going to see be explored. And one of the great lies that was kind of pasted atop all of this was the one of the kingdom that Alexstrasza built, and how nobody really knew that there was an opposing viewpoint. Because if you think about the role that the dragons have had, they will have very much set the tone for aeons to come, right? So the way that core Azerothian history is almost seen as being from a order and sort of Titanish perspective,
it's all been a lie.
Actually, say that's because Alexstrasza's whole sort of little dragon empire kept that going.
That's what I thought.
I wonder where they're going to go. Definitely, they could go too hard, a little bit too weird in some of these things, but also, I do think the idea of
Sinful says that, but arcane magic is also primal power because it comes through Azeroth herself. I think the thing that's unnatural though about arcane is that the Titan facilities and things are kind of the reason it's leaked out into these ley lines. Right? These Titan facilities have kind of been pulling the power out of the ground and leaking it to the surface. I think that's the unnatural part about the arcane magic.
Rejecting everybody's bullshit and claiming back some free will and not being a lackey to some big cosmic man in the sky, I think that is potentially quite a good story if it's done right. So, if you're wondering, who is Razageth? What does she want? What's going on? I've never seen this dragon before. Help, what's happening? I hope this video at least did help you out. Of course, if you want some more narrative content on the dragons, then you can check out our dragon series. And with that, I'll see you next time.
That was a great video, and honestly, I'm very excited. Very, very excited to fight Razageth and get more into this story. I'm not only excited to get loot and all that, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to see the story and where it goes after this raid. All right, guys, we got shit to do. We got to get into this because it's time to play some WoW. First things first, I might do some dragon riding racing, and then we're going to hunt rares. We got rares to hunt.